tonight?
4:30?
So we'll call the roll again. Henry County, Kelowna Public Library, Geneseo School District 228, Kelowna Fire Protection District.
Yes, ma'am.
I got it. Okay, Blackhawk College, Kelowna Township, and City of Kelowna. So we have 4 representatives. Can we have a motion for a chair?
I'll make a motion, the mayor.
Thank you very
vote as the
much.
chair.
Is there a second? Good, and I'm sure everyone's in favor. So now we will do the same. We will go through the 2022, 2023, and 2024. Now, TIF 4 does not end until December 31st, 2027. So we still have, as had the wrong sheets on the project, we still have a lot going on. So let's go through it. Starting with 2022, the TIF is collecting $651,000 per annum. However, it has expenditures of $539, so that it's at the end of 2022 did not spend $112,000 and had a balance of $424,439. Again, the next part of the report gives you an itemization of the cost. And I didn't say this on the other reports, but I say it, each report has been, each TIF, TIF 3, TIF 4, have been audited and have been audited these years, which is part of the reason we're delayed in doing it, because we were late in getting our audit. So if you now go to section 3.2, you will see an explanation of the payouts, developer reimbursement, and we had at least 6, and I remember these agreements, what their annual payout is. When you go to the next provision, it gives you the balance left on all these reports. So as of 2022, April 30th, 2022, we were in the hole. In other words, we had obligations in excess of $4 million. The exact amount is $4,066,971. Okay? But we did not acquire any land. With regard to all of the projects that we did in the city, that's listed in section 5 of the report. So you can see all the projects, the list of projects. The form is very confusing, and I talk about this because I'm still alive, as to what was spent and what is committed. And I don't know which is the correct way to do it. So I prefer to look at the list of what you spent and what you have outstanding in that section 3.3, because these numbers are always strange.
Kathy,
Yes.
you know me in question. Cost eligible expenses. How does those approved?
Every expenditure of the TIF is approved by the city council. These are all redevelopment agreements, most of which I have prepared, it's sent to the city council. I don't have that's one thing, I don't have the final agreement. I prepare an agreement and I send it to the city. Sometimes the alderman change it and amend it.
Air conditioning and pay it?
So if we wanted to see it, we'd have to pull it up from the city. Because a lot of times, I do a draft, city council wants to make a change, so the final report is sitting here in the city hall.
I was just getting, because, you know, dealing with bricks and mortar versus cost eligible expenses. And there was an issue a few years, not back, quite back, that I had a question on what was cost eligible expenses.
Yeah.
And it's not on these here. So, and I haven't seen it for quite a while. So, and the city would have that in the past, that for their own benefit. I don't think they want to pay out anything that's not cost eligible when they can use it themselves on your own development, agreement. That's the only thing I brought up, is to make sure that the city, especially the new members, know what the cost eligible expenses are.
And they are specific.
That's for
you
your
are
own
right
benefit.
to ask. The law is very specific. So let's continue with regard to the balance that we had here. the balance that we had here was negative because we have so many
Oh,
obligations
yeah.
in TIF IV. Do you know? Okay. So with that, we want to go on to 2023. 2023, you will note, we received $722,000. And once again, if you look, our expenditures are very close. So that we are obviously, our expenditures in 2023 was 539, in 2022, in 2023, they're 559. So you can tell that they're appropriate expenses because you're paying down the same annual obligations from agreements that you had, in fact, in play long before. So when you add what we received and all expenses, we had an additional $164,000 we didn't spend for 2023 fiscal year. So now we have $588,000. However, okay, when you go to the next section, you have the same percentage of developer reimbursements in the section with the list, the same list as you had in 2022. In 2023, in this report, if you go, please, to section 3.3, you will see the deficit is reduced because we got money in, so that all of our obligations are outstanding, but the amount we're in the hole is obviously improving because we have paid it. Again, in section 5, the items are listed. So let's go with this. We had left in a balance as of 2023, $588,575. Our deficit, though, our obligations that were outstanding went from 2023, went from $4,066,000 to $3,362,000. So that you can tell we're doing what we have to do, that is pay off the redevelopment agreements and the obligations that have been paid. So then you get into 2024. Again, this is not reflective of the balance of the TIF account because this ended in April and you would have gotten taxes June and September, so that you would have gotten more tax disbursements. So this is only as of April 30th. We do not have a report on the additions because that will be in next year's report. So once again, we are $819,000. This time our expenditures were $989,000. We made some improvements, not only to Stonebridge, but because our developer costs were still paying for. We made some improvements there so that our total disbursement was all of our development agreements. But this year in 2024, we declared surplus. Okay? So that year, the reason it's over $900,000 in disbursement is because there was $330,000 declared surplus. You're looking at me funny. No? You don't remember that? You got a check, I swear to you.
Good hand.
So you'll notice when we add all of the obligations, we are now at $3,154,000. Now, in deficit, because of the obligations, because there was an additional $400,000 loan from Bank Orient. Right, that's where the difference hit, but surplus was declared. So now, we still have reports that will be due to you for 2025, 2026, 2027, and you'll get a report for fiscal year ending 2028, at least 4. Why? Because fiscal year ending April 30th, 2026 we will have gotten, doesn't end till 27, or April 30th, 2027, I mean. They'll still get more taxes in December. So you will get a report subsequent to the,
How many more years on that, Jim?
yeah, it's December 31st, 2027. So there's only
Okay.
2 years, but you need 4 reports. I mean, that's part of the reason that we have to hold, and it's the audits too. These are all audited, which is an expense. That's why on TIF 3, we had to hold out money because you need reports several years after the TIF got. Yes, sir.
No, I guess I would just ask, is this where you would like me to speak about a possible extension of TIF 4? John, I think you and I talked about it over coffee, and I plan to have coffee with you again soon, and we can talk more. But as she just explained, the TIF is set to expire December 31st, 2027. There's a lot of growth opportunity that still exists within TIF 4, much of which is going to require redevelopment plans, project planning that's going to take time, right? So in an effort, as I'm going to allude to a comment that you made earlier, John, about the fact that these TIFs, like I say, they're failing in whole, right? But there's some failures there in the past where I would like to see the development and growth, but there's no way that we're going to be able to accomplish all of this in the next 2 years. Kai Worth, I met with him here recently, and he, with an extension, would move to add that other road and then put 20, I think the number's 24, don't quote me, 24 more homes. He's still interested in putting in now this is conceptual. Obviously we have plating for it, but it's conceptual at this point. He also has some interest in building a threeplex multi-unit retail business at the front of Stonebridge Edition, something that would accent the neighborhood. We've also had other developers express interest in a lot on would be the southeast corner of Route 6 there and Stonebridge Boulevard. And so there's a lot of development opportunity out there. It's going to require a bit of time to do a TIF extension.
Are you talking about an extension of that TIF?
Extension of that.
How many
TIF.
years?
It would be 12.
Well,
by law.
That takes a legislative initiative.
It does.
Yeah.
I've met, so I'm aware that it also requires approval from each taxing district. The ideology isn't much different than what I think was presented to this board or members of this board back in 2022. But I had met with Representative Swanson, and if the taxing bodies are willing to support the initiative, then he would be willing to sponsor the bill on the floor. Again, we got to start now to get that. He's like, even if we start now at maybe spring of 2027 legislative session before this gets done. So it's a very timely a very time-consuming process, and so we've got to be timely with our request. And so I'm happy to meet with each taxing body as time permits here in the next few weeks or month or two here to have some larger conversations. I invited TJ from Rock River Electric here today too, who is one of the recipients of the TIF. I don't know if you're prepared or you want to share anything about your guys' pending projects. And if not, that's okay.
We have conceptual drawings done by Streamline Architects, so we have worked with them, and we are in the process. Slowed down a little bit by the what's called political in the last 3 or 4 months, and all
Sure.
some threats of that. But we're working on it.
So we've got other areas up into including where, Rock River is there along Walnut Lane there that we can experience some growth. Corey Bullock's connected with the city about expressing interest about doing additional building there south on Walnut Lane. So
I'd at least like to make a statement on that.
please.
School districts are special. They can't be made whole, but they get vouchers in place of the funding. So they're not hurting that. You got library districts. If all of a sudden the library district can't be made whole, but they can get some funds. Fire districts can't. We've had 3 failed referendums. We're so short during the daytime, we was trying to put 2 guys on. Can't even get 3 referendums filled on a $100,000 home that would raise it $30, $40 a year. We are hurting the fire district. We can't be written into an agreement. okay? So that's, I'm gonna tell you right away, that hurts us. If you could terminate what you had and redistrict it, put another TIF into it, at least we could get 80% of the probably development that's already occurred, not just from Kyle and the work he's done and prior developers, but would at least set to the point where we're able to get recoup some of those losses, and especially when we're dealing with referendums. We have one up probably from 600 calls 3 years ago to almost 1,000 calls, okay? And it's getting worse for just a handful of people to be able to run the daytime. People don't, and I don't hate taxes like anybody else. I hate them like anybody else. But if we can't get the support, something's gonna happen during the day.
The problem with doing a new TIF, it's not, I mean, it's 23 years, you know that.
Yep.
But it takes 20 years to develop the money to give the incentive to get the project done.
If you have a project, this is the other thing, a lot of times you start a TIF without having anything going on hopes that you could get development in, whether it's Rock River or Kai or all, that's fine. But some of these things fall apart, like the original fell apart, and then we're had to pick it up, and thank God he did. But the idea is, when you start these TIFs, you gotta have some type of future, and you can't wait till the end of a TIF to try to get your development going.
But you don't have any money for the infrastructure for 10 years.
The 23 years is almost up on that one, okay, another 3 or 4 years. And with that being said, when you really need to look at, you can be to the talking bodies, because I heard rumors that this might be going on. I'm just telling you, our part, we're probably gonna be hurt the worst. But it's not so bad at school districts, they don't mind it too much. Got more kids coming in. With the average per house now, 1.7 kids per household now, used to go 4 or 5. But here, as I said, that's good for them on the reimbursement, plus they get vouchers. So, as long as you understand our situation, if we had some means of getting some type of support on our end, we probably would not oppose it.
So Kathy, is there a way with an extension to modify the agreement to, I'm aware in certain agreements that you can allocate or dedicate a certain percentage of the funding back to the taxing body as part of the agreement. Can we do that with an extension?
With an extension, we can decide, look at the projects, be realistic. What you need is, it's your infrastructure projects that you need to get these other projects.
Correct.
That's the real key.
Mhm.
So that if you want to declare 20% surplus, so if we are getting now, talking dollars, if our distribution, look at 2024, if our distribution is, I'll find it.
Well, I think that on our end of it,
It's,
we're not gonna sell it here, but we have to look at that pretty closely.
well,
We wouldn't be doing it right to our own people.
I don't think there's a person that could argue.
And this is nothing against our developers at all.
No, we
No.
I promote it, but we have to look at the impact it is on us.
So if we are getting 900, it's actually 819,000, but this is 2024, so it's probably gone up. Say 825,000, and $200,000 of that was declared surplus. What portion of that would you get? What do you get out of it? Yeah.
Out of all the surplus, about 8% to 10%, no, not very much. We're looking to little school districts as the big ones.
No, they can't get, you have to have, if they get a per child. The difference is though, it depends on what tier they're in. If they are in tier 1, which we don't know, school's not here. If they're in tier 1, you are right. If they're in tier 4, they get none from the state, anything more. But we could ask that question. But the point is, whatever they get, is it more than you get? Because you don't get.
Yeah.
And the library, yes, there's statutory.
How they got that, I don't know.
Well,
They got a lot of good in Springfield.
it doesn't help them. In order to get money out of the TIF, they have to prove that their expenses have been increased by an increase.
Fire truck is $700,000 for a basic fire truck.
And so the statute is there, but it ain't, and then I wouldn't take it home, or don't take it to the bank, because it's not all that great. But nonetheless, and especially the projects they're talking about, other than the 24 homes, are pretty commercial, so that doesn't affect them.
But this is, the project is proposed, but if you guys would know more than I would, whether that's, whether it's going or not, you know? There's a lot of projects I like to see going, but whether they're realistic and they will fall through, that's another thing.
So what if the city agreed that within 3 years of the extension, if they haven't accumulated 2 projects, they'll kill it?
Have to look at. I can't talk to our board of trustees.
No.
But, same token.
I'm saying we can talk about a portion of surplus, it's the mayor's side. We can talk about saying, you ain't sitting on this if it isn't happening. If it isn't happening, kill it. I don't know if you realize, I was the one that demanded Danny kill TIF 1.
Some of these should have been killed before.
So
We killed one early, and then we picked the other.
TIF 1 we killed, TIF 2 we couldn't.
And then the money was kind of wrong.
But TIF 1 we killed, because it wasn't doing it.
And go to court to get that money back.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we did, there was 170,000 and 47,000 on that one out there. And, we got 50 cents of $1 back from the city. Not these mayors here, by the way.
No,
Look,
it was done,
you can't negotiate tax dollars.
no,
It's illegal, by the way.
anyway.
That's
So
the reason why I get nervous.
I would suggest.
It's all fair.
You think,
That's all I can say, John. It's all fair, and I would be willing to sit down with you and have like
Yeah, we can
good,
do that.
good
I just want
conversations
to be
and-
aware that the impact on us is probably the biggest portion is on us.
Is there any other discussion?
You can't carve out and go back in and pick up the old stuff and new things.
I've worked very hard on getting money to fire protection district. Because everything John said is.
I mean, on TIF, that's not completed out there at Stonebridge, can you know, let it shut down and go back in and overlap a new TIF like we're doing, sort of like we're doing.
Yeah, we can do that.
My only concern
But you
about
still
that,
lose all the
yeah,
income.
is that it's just gonna tie us up for another 23 years, and I do want the money to go back to taxing bodies, because my personal preference is we do have to balance our TIF districts with the needs of all of our other taxing bodies, and so, I do think there's benefit in an additional 12-year extension, to give us opportunity to complete these other projects, with maybe some different insight, ideas, motivations, whatever. But at the same time, you know, right now I see the need more in the TIF 5. You're creating the new TIF 5 down here so that we can remove some of the blight that we have, improve facades, things like that. So I would really like to close TIF 3. I think that's the best. Obviously, we're done. It's over. We're going to surplus that back. But TIF 4, get the extension so we can experience that growth opportunity that I think many of us see out there, and then work to implement TIF 5, which has been in the works for now. Shoot, I don't know when it became
3
a
years?
concept, but I know the report that I was given by Kathy was dated 2023. So it needs to be updated, and so we could make January 23, so we'll have to make a presentation. So anyway, that's where we're at, but definitely would like to have a conversation with you, John, which is one of the reasons that I want to set up. And I'm happy to meet with any taxing body, and I need to do that and get it on my calendar. You're knocking name tags off now, John.
You know, like that all.
Well, I just want to make it clear that, you know, we're not, you know,
Yep.
we're not against development or any, you know, what's going on. It's not the issue. The issue is, the timeframe that we in, that
Sure.
we wait quite a few years, and the impact that's on us right now, it could mean a lot, you know, if we could get this terminated.
Very fair.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the fire district over here, the fire station over here is in TIF 4.
That's TIF 3.
TIF 3.
TIF 3. Well, it's on here too, right? So.
Yep.
Is this just fire protection, all encompasses all?
The boundaries of the TIF include the fire protection district. What you're talking about is they have a facility in,
Okay,
you understand.
so you're suggesting that we could raise the percent?
No, what the mayor has suggested is that, of the increment, we return a portion of it to the county for redistribution. So if you're getting $900,000 a year in increment, you apply, for example, 700 to your projects and get 200 back as surplus, give it back to the taxing district.
So the taxing districts, if they get it back, they get each, is what you're saying, I'm just trying to understand. So is what you're saying is everybody gets a percentage of that back and the fire protection percentage is low?
They get the same percentage on the tax bill.
Same as
So,
your tax bill home.
John is saying, when you pay your taxes, if you pay $100 tax bill, he gets $8 or $10.
So if you pay in $8 and you pay in $17 to the school district, he can only get $8 back.
Correct.
And he can't get back.
Right.
Correct.
He can't get back 10 and they get back 15.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty, you just take the percentage on the tax bill, school's number one, okay? So if you get that percentage back, you 20%, then you look at it, you can break that down on a percentage, but it's only up 20% on what we would normally get.
And you're saying school
And
districts,
that may not be enough either.
you're saying school districts and libraries and whatever get,
They're-
Not only the tax
library-
money, but
Libraries don't
they-
get unless they ask
No.
for it, they have to be written to it.
They've got to demonstrate how they're up. Schools. If you fund a residential project
yes.
that has children living there, the schools aren't getting anything. So the law provides that you have to give them a per student formula. Okay, so you build 24 homes. Of the 24 homes, there's 20 kids. So you apply the then formula, and so they need $60,000. Wrong. Even though the subdivision, new subdivision, may produce a lot of children, high school and grammar school combined cannot get more than 40% of the TIF of the TIF dollars generated from that subdivision.
And they don't
I don't know
secure
if you
much.
can follow that. It
Plus, they
is
can get
not.
vouchers in place of that, so if they want to buy books or computers or
Mhm.
other things that would cost because of that, they can.
They qualify for more because of the.
Usually they qualify because they have more children and their tax base hasn't increased. They usually qualify for a little more state aid. State aid is calculated on a tier level, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mhm.
If our schools are in tier 1, they get other things. If it's in tier 4, I'm sure we're not. If it's in tier 4, those are the wealthy communities. They get nada.
Well, let's just say they got a big addition and got 50 kids in addition, why do you know school bus?
Yeah.
See what I'm getting at?
Okay.
But they would not get the cost of a school bus. They would get the per child
Mhm.
distribution up to
Of that.
40%.
Okay.
Yep.
But the fire district's not included in that.
No.
Only once the house is sold and they start paying taxes, and then they'll get the portion of
No,
that.
they won't.
That's not the way it works either.
Because it all goes to the TIF. All the taxes go to the TIF for use for redevelopment project money.
Sounds complicated, it is, but once you learn, know what's going on, it makes it a little easier.
So that makes sense, so thank you.
Well, he's been around bugging me for over 20 years now. so.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah,
30 years.
probably.
We're still friends. Just not to do things right.
So what kind of infrastructure expenses are left in TIF for county to do?
He's got to put the extension of the road in. For
We
the
can't do
24
it
homes.
because they're still obligated with the last of the development.
Yeah.
So we want to do an audit, so to speak, of, as I demonstrated when I gave the report, we're in the hole. Because if we add up all of the outstanding obligations we've taken on in the past, we don't have money to do it. That's why the mayor's asking for an extension. So the extension, we're assuming that since the TIF ends in December 31st, 2027, all of our obligations were not beyond that date. So then you would have money with an extension to do the infrastructure necessary to attract the others. To do an overlay TIF doesn't help you at all, because a new TIF, you go to zero on your increment.
You told me to shut up. Okay.
I didn't know, I did. Down walked in, I said, okay. Yes, I'm not known for being shy, am I?
So we like that.
Me neither.
So on the obligations, like Blackhawk there, those are calculated on what they turned in for reimbursement, is that correct?
On Blackhawk, no, that was the Stonebridge went under, they made the mortgage, Stonebridge, assigned its, all of its bonds, notes, et cetera, that the city had given to the bank, so that instead of paying Stonebridge, we paid the bank for the money. That's what happened.
That's it here.
And we need to, look at that and honor that. That should be done by December 31st, 2027, because how could we have committed anything beyond that? So that's what we want to go through each agreement, which we will do in the next year. So when you get the next report, we'll even know more.
My other question is, because really by extending this, what that allows us to do is to go to that deficit of zero, correct? Because after
Yes,
27, there's no
Yes.
obligation.
yeah,
So then it goes to zero, and now we're gonna have a surplus of $900,000 for the next taxing year.
right, and that's the money that you would use to do the infrastructure, but the mayor's already said to consider a portion of that.
That's fine, it doesn't affect the township. But what I'm saying is that at least we get rid of that deficit of $3 million.
Absolutely.
For that time, probably two,
That's-
but and then we got more of a zero deficit, and now we have a surplus of $900,000 used for obligations, correct?
It's as much as the fire protection district, it's understood, it's not, it's a very big opportunity for the city to do future development for the reasons you just explained. So to walk away from it is,
You get all 900,000, because you're gonna start at zero otherwise. You start.
and so then you can't induce it because you can't do the infrastructure. Who thought we'd be at this position when we did it?
I mean, business-wise, it's a good decision.
Look at numbers.
We'll talk, John.
It's all about number game right now.
Right. Any other questions? If not, we will adjourn.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You guys have a minute, TJ? You guys have a minute? I want to touch base with you guys real quick.